I had a late lunch Friday, and when I was done I went to a nearby park for a walk, as I often do. I found a secluded area in the park a while back where two streams come together, and I often pray there, as I did this day. When I was just finished praying, "God, please shine your light in me and through me," a young man walks up and surprises me. I'd never seen anyone in this spot before. He was surprised also and apologized, and then he offered to leave. I said, "That's okay, I was about done anyway, I was just praying." And we then exchanged some faith stories. He told me that he was a Buddhist and offered me a card with chants I could use. And then I told him about Jesus and my personal experiences with him. He was very interested, and I was able to overcome some of the hurdles he had to the faith in Christ. It turns out he was temporarily homeless and was at a very difficult time in his life. A nearby deli manager had given him a job, but he had slept a couple of nights in the park when it had rained recently. He started crying as he told me some of his story. When I asked about his family, he said his fiancée had 10 years left for his previous boss. His mom was on heavy drugs, and his father was a Hell's Angel who died of an overdose when he was a kid, and he was sitting on his lap. I mostly listened as he unburdened, sometimes interrupting himself to say that it felt good to be able to talk to someone about it, that he'd been holding it in for a long time. About then, a beautiful butterfly flew up to us. After circling me a couple of times, it then circled him for about 4 times. I was amazed because I'd never seen that happen. I told him it looked like a sign that someone was looking out after him, and I became aware of God's presence among us. I ended up walking with him in the park for a little while, eventually giving him a ride 20 minutes away to where his mother worked. Since he was so receptive to everything I'd said about Jesus, I asked him if he'd ever prayed to receive Jesus before, and he said no. And then I asked if he'd like to. Well, he said he didn't really know how to pray to God, but after explaining that it's really just like us talking together, he still seemed to need a little help. Well, I'd never led anyone in a sinner's prayer in my life. I was always more of a seed planter than a harvester, but this young man was ready. So we prayed the prayer together, and he gave his life to the Lord. And when he was done, he said something felt different, better. I mean, he felt lighter. I told him God is giving him a new life, so much better than all he's ever known before. I then encouraged him to tell someone about it soon, and he said he was going to tell his mother right away. Well, he didn't have a Bible, so the next day I dropped off a Combined Gospels book at the deli and wrote a little note in it for him. In the note, I paraphrased a verse that said, "Seek him first in his kingdom, and he'll take care of you and all your needs." The next day at church, it turns out that was the main verse Pastor Steve was using in his teaching as he compared the turtle scene from Nemo to being in the stream of revival. I didn't even know I was standing in that stream, but apparently God did. Maybe that's why I've been feeling so refreshed lately. And maybe that's why this young Buddhist came out of nowhere to find Jesus for the first time.